Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of More with Dr. Ellie. Make sure you subscribe to whatever channel that you are listening to this podcast on. Today's episode is extremely special because it is our last one in the series of personal branding, the value of how you show up in real life, online, ensuring that you're being intentional about having the clarity necessary to show up authentically as who you are, speaking to the right audience all the time, and ensuring that you are living in alignment with your purpose, with your mission, with your vision as a person. That way, you get to impact their lives that you were meant to impact as a person. In today's episode, we're just going to be answering questions because it is the last one. We called out to all of you, our community, to ask us, what questions do you have about personal branding? What don't you understand about personal branding? What is something that was not clear in this teaching series when it comes to personal branding? So I'm just going to be answering some of your questions. And let's go ahead and get started. Here's an amazing question from someone that says, if I have multiple interests or careers, can I still build a clear personal brand? This is such an interesting question because a lot of the times, especially for people who are multi-talented, it is extremely difficult for you to understand exactly what you should be doing and how you should be communicating to your audience. The reason being that when you're good at so many things, sometimes you want to show up as all those things at the same time. The best thing that you want to do with your personal brand is be as clear as possible. Therefore, in the context of clarity, you cannot show up as everything. Even if you're good at so many things, you cannot show up as everything. I was recently having this conversation with my dad because one of the things that I love to do is I sing, and I think I sing pretty well. Actually, I know I sing pretty well. So he was asking me, are you going to be singing at church? And I was explaining to him that actually I do something very different in church, which is the administration and more leadership work, because truly that is where I believe my superpower lies. My superpower lies in communication and leadership. Therefore, as much as I love to sing, I really only sing when there's a need for me to sing because maybe there's somebody missing in the choir. But otherwise, I need to show up in the area where I shine the most, which is communication and leadership. Therefore, if you have many interests, you really have to take the time to understand what is your main area. What is your main area of interest? What is your superpower? And focus your energy there. You don't want to be known as somebody who's all over the place, and you don't want to be pursuing too many things at the same time because you're not going to be able to make the kind of progress that you need to make. Therefore, for someone struggling with understanding exactly how and where they need to position themselves because they have too many interests or because they're good at so many things, first thing is understand where you should be at a particular moment in time and utilize the strengths and the talents that you have for that particular thing. Once you make a name for yourself, once people know you for that thing, then you can go ahead and spread your wings a little bit and start to do other things. Here's another amazing question. How do I know if my personal brand is authentic or if I'm just performing online? Ooh, this is so good. Because like I've shared over and over again, you want to make sure that you're showing up authentically, online and offline. That way you can actually really communicate to the audience that you are meant to communicate to. Therefore, at any point that you're sharing content, you need to be able to take a step back. Instead of always being reactive, you want to make sure that you're being intentional and you're being proactive about what you're sharing so that you're sharing in alignment with who you are and you're sharing in alignment with your personal brand blueprint. If you don't know what a personal brand blueprint is and you want a personal brand blueprint, make sure you reach out to us at ATK Leadership Solutions because that is something that we work with you on during our personal branding coaching. So to ensure that you are showing up online authentically, you want to make sure that you are actually sharing who you are in alignment with your values as a person, in alignment with your mission, with your vision, and in alignment with the audience that you're meant to be serving. Try as much as possible not to be reactive. Trends can be great on social media, but take some time to think about whether every trend is actually in alignment with the work that you're meant to be doing as a person. And sometimes just taking a step back and thinking can really help you a lot in analyzing whether what you're showing up as is actually who you are or whether you are just performing. And what you want to do is really show up as who you are because, like I said, the last episode, you cannot fake it for long. You want to make sure that you are showing up in the most authentic version of who you are as a person. Ooh, here's another question that is so good because I struggle with this a lot. How do you stay consistent with your brand when life gets busy or uncertain? Well, the point is, y'all, your brand is who you are as a person. Once you clarify what is your mission, what is your vision, what is your message, what is your commitment, you are showing up each and every single day as your brand. Whether it is online or offline, we got to understand that your brand is who you are. Your brand identity is your identity as a person. Now, when it comes to content creation in particular, or showing up in digital spaces through mechanisms like this, a podcast, blogging, how do you stay consistent? Well, the first thing is you got to have a strategy. You got to have a strategy and you have to have a content calendar. As much as I'm sharing this with y'all, I struggle showing up consistently, especially when life gets busy. So yes, I might be showing up on brand offline, right? Because my brand is who I am as a person. So I'm showing up with energy, with positivity, encouraging, motivating, with knowledge. But how do I do that consistently online, especially when I'm overwhelmed and have so much going on? Like I said, you want to have a strategy and you want to have a content calendar. And where you can, you want to make sure that you create as much content as possible in advance. That way, it is already there and you can use different platforms to actually schedule that content. The thing is that life is going to happen. There are going to be seasons where you just don't have the time or the energy to show up online with your brand, right? Offline, you should be showing up as exactly who you are because that your brand identity is who you are as a person. But online, you want to make sure that you set up processes and systems for yourself that can help you manage how you show up consistently online. And I'm going to take that question for myself as well because that is something that I struggle with. Showing up consistently when life gets busy, when I'm in the midst of a semester, when we have so many clients, but truly systems and processes are really what can help with that. All right, here's another great question. If everyone has a reputation, what is the difference between reputation and a personal brand? Well, the thing about it is that everybody has a reputation and everybody has a personal brand. Your personal brand is the perception that people have of you. It is your reputation. Therefore, if you have a reputation, you have a personal brand. Now, the difference is you want to make sure in your personal brand that the reputation that people have of you is actually in alignment with what you want them to have. As I've shared before, personal branding is your intentionality to ensure that there's an alignment between who you are as a person and what people are perceiving of you. Therefore, if your reputation and people's perception of you is in alignment with whatever it is that you want to be known for, then you're actually doing a great job at your personal brand. Now, if your reputation, which is your personal brand, it is people's perception of you, is not in alignment with what you want people to be perceiving of you, then it means that you need to do a lot more intentional work to ensure that there's an alignment between what you know you are and what people are perceiving of you. Here's another question that says, how do I figure out what I want to be known for? I talked a lot about this in the last episode when I talked about the critical importance of understanding your purpose and your mission as a person. You want to make sure that you are known for something that is in alignment with your mission, with your purpose as a person, and that is in alignment with the talents that you carry to actually make sure that you can fulfill your mission and your purpose. So when you are looking to understand what you want to be known for, it's really about understanding what is your mission as a person, what is your purpose as a person, because whatever it is that you want to be known for should be in alignment with the mission that you carry as a person, because then that means that you're living in alignment with who you are and whatever message that you're looking to create and send out to your community. Yeah, we received so many questions. So I'm not sure if this is really going to be enough for us to answer all of them. So if you still have any questions, we might have to take up another episode where we answer more of your questions. And before I wrap up, I want to go ahead and give you an exercise. If someone Googled your name today, what is the story that is being told about who you are based on the information that is out there about you? One thing I say to my students and to my clients all the time is that you want to take the time to Google yourself at least once a quarter, if not more, because the trace of whatever it is that you're doing on the internet is actually telling a story about who you are as a person. Therefore, if someone was to Google you, what is the story that is being told about who you are? If you want to go ahead and tell me what that story is, you can DM me. So y'all, we're going to take another episode with more questions because we received a lot of those. So go ahead and send us your personal branding questions. You have been listening to More with Dr. Ellie. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for listening.